This is Rev'd Up with Bill McKinney, a smarter conversation about cars, the auto industry, and what drivers really need to know. From industry trends and buyer insights to technology, safety, and what's coming next on the road, you're getting real perspective from inside the business without the sales pitch. Rev'd Up with Bill McKinney starts now.
This is Rev'd Up with Bill McKinney and my friend Lydia.
Hi.
Lydia Herman. She runs our social media for the dealership, and I wanted to have her with me today and just chat a little bit about some of the things that were going on, because quite honestly, it's the world of social media. I said it jokingly, but there's a lot of seriousness to it. I lost my password like 8 years ago, so I'm afraid to log out. I'll never be able to log back in. And Lydia come cruising along the dealership, and really, I don't want to. Do you want to say what happened? You want to say what happened?
Sure.
You go. You talk.
I mean, it was the most random morning. I woke up. I don't know anything about cars. I never have. I've never claimed to. But I just had it in my mind that I'm going to call a dealership and see if I can join their sales department. Tallahassee Ford answered me within 20 minutes and told me to come up there right now. The owner wants to speak to me. And I was like, okay, I guess we're doing this. And so I went in there, they led me to your office, and you looked over my resume and saw that I had social media experience, but no sales experience. So you were kind of questioning me, what is it about sales that you want to do? You know, I don't see any experience or any real reason why that would be the best fit for you, but you do have social media experience, and we don't currently have someone who's doing that, and the rest is history. Been here for 2 years now.
Indeed it is. And recently graduated at Florida State. I say recently.
Yeah, in August, I graduated from Florida State.
So it was a proud moment for us as well. When Lydia, when she cruised into the dealership, she was a student for marketing at Florida State. And I felt like it was a good fit. And the answer, we probably never discussed that. So when someone said that we had a young lady applying for sales and I wanted you to come down right away, the first thing is there is a huge lack of ladies, women, in our industry. And if 70% of the buying segment is female, who better to relate than another lady, right? And I have had the luxury in the past of working with some amazing ladies. I mean, strong, you know what I mean? A lot of admiration and respect for them. So I'm constantly looking to try to make sure that we have someone for everyone at our store, because when you're buying a car and you're spending some time with somebody and you're giving over personal information, once it gets to that time, personality matchup very often is the secret sauce on whether a deal goes good or bad. And what I mean by a deal going good or bad, even from my perspective as the dealer, is not how profitable was the deal. How was the interaction? You know, how's that customer feel about us for the future? Are they going to come back, or are we just going to have to advertise more money to get you back? And the same thing for the sales associate. When I say that I'm looking for, you know, strong ladies to come and join the business, you know, I'm not going to say that it's been a man's business. I don't want to get into that guy's business, but some of the things, some of the conversations, some of the atmosphere, I don't know that in the sales world have always been the most conducive to every lady that may want to cruise through there. So, you know, I don't want to get myself in hot water with that. That's the reality of it. But I think that in our dealership, we try to make sure that we have somebody there that adds to. So thanks for coming down first.
Of course.
Glad you made it 2 years right now. But the social media aspect of it, I think it was along the lines of the same time when Dale was here with me last week. We had some stuff that kind of popped up that revolved around living Tallahassee. And to be completely honest, as much as I couldn't stand it, the reality is the consumers are the one that write the retail process if you want to have it successful. So, you know, when there's just grouchy feedback, it's just grouchy feedback, right? But when it's good, solid feedback, I need to hear it. I want to be a part of it. I want to understand it and figure out how do we cater something that fits better within the marketplace. And that's what helped us come in and get our arms around it, because I was just like, man, I don't want to log in. I don't want to look at it. Take that app off of my phone. It's blacking me out. Right?
Right. No, for sure. When I came in, and I also told you that I don't know anything about cars. And, you know, you were like, well, I know about cars. We know about cars. You know about humanization and that kind of aspect. And I think that's where we were able to work really well together and help each other out in that aspect.
Humanizing the dealership was important. I think when I talk about having guests have a really good experience, I don't know how good the experience can be when you come back and you meet a new person every time. That's some of the feedback I've heard over the years. When you're starting over every time, it can be cool that you're meeting somebody new and there's some personality connections, right? You made a new friend. But at the end of the day, when I'm giving out my social security number, I'd rather kind of be the same person over and over again if I could help it, I joke around, but I don't want my store to be like the doctor's office. I mean, I don't want to knock them, but how many times the doctor's office? You don't even go to the doctor. You don't know if you go to the doctor yet, are you?
I don't think I've been to the doctor in like 10 years.
It's because you eat so good. You eat so healthy. At my age, days off are for doctor's appointments and follow-ups, not so much for fun, random things anymore. No, got an appointment. Can't do anything. It's at 11. Can't be late. They won't see me if I miss another appointment. But I joke about that you go to the doctor's office and I feel like I should just wear something that has my social security number on it. You know what I mean? Like, you guys have insurance? Just go right there. You go. So I say that with a lot of humor. And the reality is when the same person is there for multiple purchases, it changes things. It's to the point where today, and it has been for a very long time in my life, I get phone calls from my former customers and all they tell me is, I need a car for so-and-so. And that comes from absolute relationship. First of all, they know that I'm going to take care of business for them. 2, they know I'm going to treat them right. 3, we already know everything about one another, and it's so important. And that's one of the things that's lost, I think, through the car business over the years. The turnover has been so high. That really goes back to having you come in and trying to humanize the dealership, because if a customer doesn't have a good experience somewhere else, that can manifest right down the lot with the wrong person. But when you have the type of dealership where you've really been working to humanize the dealership so that folks see us for who we are, we do something different for a living. And next week I might be standing in your place of business needing your help.
Right.
It may not be as expensive of a car, but I can tell you if it's a doctor or if it's banking or any of these things that I'm constantly, or just my kid's school, we all want to be taken care of, I think, is that underlying part of it. And you came in and helped us put a face to the dealership so that we weren't just a big bad dealer that's trying to pickpocket people.
Right.
And helped us have a different view of it. As I said, your eyes are different than ours because you don't live in our world, and your livelihood while you work for us in that regard, you work for a lot of companies in town taking care of their social media. We were just your first project, if you will. So Thanks again for helping us. But
of course, well, y'all make it easy too, because it is different when you're working for a company that I don't know, just being there and seeing them be deceptive. But at Tallahassee Ford, I know that y'all are being honest. I feel good about working for y'all and putting out content because I know what I'm posting is true. And that's really who y'all are. So it's easy.
Yes, that's the part about, humanizing the dealership and making it that type of store, is if I'm not the type of store that treats our customers good and treats the crew, the team good, I'll never get people like you. And I mean, right now, where we sit right now, we are poised for yet again to having another amazing year of growth, because we're surrounded by absolutely awesome people that have stayed with me through somewhat of a painful journey. We sold a lot of cars. It's been at an expense to us to do what we've done in the marketplace by giving the type of deals that we've been doing. But I've been fortunate because we did do it that way.
Right.
And we did, consider community over the dollar, that it's allowed me to have some really good people to stay with me and help kind of run my vision out there a bit.
Absolutely.
So when you bought your car, tell me what was your thoughts? Were you scared?
Oh yeah,
Nervous?
I was terrified. I think it took me probably my first year just looking at cars before I was set on getting a new car. But even as an employee, I never felt any pressure to do it. So I was definitely nervous when I first started looking, but by the time I was fully ready, no.
Yeah.
Because I knew y'all. And
good. That's important. It's important to have that feeling. And I think that's what I came up with recently when I went to a store that I wasn't planning on buying something. I went in a car, but something that I wanted to go look around, and I didn't want to bother them.
right.
But I felt that I was important and that I was in good company. So I went ahead anyway.
Mhm.
And it is that feeling of comfort and safety, if you will. Folks, we're going to come right back and continue talking about it. Humanizing the store is one thing. Creating an environment where you as the consumer feel welcome no matter what you do, whether you transact or not, is also important. We're going to come right back, take a quick break. It's Rev'd Up with Bill McKinney and my friend Lydia. We'll see you guys in just a minute.
We'll be right back, shifting into second gear after this short break from our sponsor, Tallahassee Ford. Rev'd Up with Bill McKinney is presented by Tallahassee Ford, proud to support smarter conversations for local drivers.
And we are back. It's Rev'd Up with Bill McKinney with a big Rev'd Up intro, and my friend Lydia.
Hi.
So let's jump into a couple of things. You felt, when we took a break there, you talked about you felt comfortable.
Yes, but that was after knowing you guys. When I was first in the market, a year before I actually bought my car, I was absolutely terrified. So scared.
We were terrified. We thought your car was going to break down and leave you on the side of the road.
The day I bought my new car from Tallahassee Ford, I got a phone call that same morning saying that I should not be driving my car anymore.
The one that you traded in?
Mm-hmm.
Who called you?
It was the shop. It was Mike's garage. I don't know if we can say that, but it was at Mike's garage getting work done, and he said, "You can't drive this anymore."
Okay, so you got all the value out of it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Despite what folks may think, as your local Ford dealer, I want you to get the value out of your car, because that's the customer's perception, right? And you're that customer. I talk about it like my older brother Dennis. He gets all of it. I mean, he drives it till, I think I'd said it on here before, you got kids, man, park that car. It's not safe. But a feeling of comfort is something that I think finally resonated with me when I was trying to really figure out what is it that has customers so apprehensive. Like, we have taken so many things out of the process that are pain points for folks. Why are they still apprehensive? And I think it came down to feeling comfortable where you do business. And for me, and I really circled in on this when I felt, did I feel like I got? Is that the right way?
Right.
And I don't think it matters what you can afford to do. Nobody wants that feeling, and that's what I felt on one of my more recent purchases. Was I think I'm easy to do business with, because if somebody treats me right, I just want to like, okay, but don't negotiate no more. How much you want? Maybe that's from being in the business. I'm easy in that regard, but I don't want to feel got or taken advantage of.
Right.
And I don't know how, that's probably still a work in process in the dealer world. How do we get rid of that? I think it's going to be pretty much one transaction at a time, where folks realize that the car deal is absolutely important. We show up to sell cars and service cars. That supports everybody being there, but we're not going to hang our integrity on a car deal.
Right.
There's certainly nothing going to go on where someone could feel got and feel stuck that way if I know about it. So it's important to get that out there. Mm-hmm. You got some questions? Yeah,
I do. So our first question kind of goes right along with what you were talking about. Because when we were at the Sunday market a couple months ago, a lady asked us, how do you know if a dealership is being fully transparent with their pricing? And she kind of mentioned that in the past she's felt taken advantage of by other dealerships.
So how do you know if they're being transparent?
Like, from the perspective of someone who knows nothing about the car industry, what are some things that she could look out for to help her know, is this dealership honest?
Well, I mean, the first thing is take a look at their reviews. You know what I mean? And a lot of things, if they're all good reviews, that's a problem. We do a lot of things right, and we don't have all good reviews. Don't, you know what I mean? And then read through the bad ones also, and take a look at them. And is it situational? Because there's things that happen, and there are something that happened and things that happen, and they're different, right? If it happened, it happens, stuff pops up. If it happens, it's kind of who you are.
Right.
And we have some stuff pop up, from time to time. The difference is taking ownership of it and right-siding it with your customer. That's important. Do you have on-site ownership? I cannot tell you strongly enough in the dealership world that if you do not have a dealer that has on-site ownership, and what I mean by that specifically is groups, because where I spent the majority of my career was in a group, and then it became the largest automotive retailer in the world. And when you lose on-site ownership, that has an effect on what happens within that community, because that person that's there, that is the face of that store, like myself, that has kids going to school, there's much more than just a car deal that's going on. It's how does it fit within the community that we live and operate in? Is it, you've heard me say before, our process is not in a manual to look up. If you heard it happen to your grandmother and you're good with it, keep going. If you heard it happen to your grandmother and you're not good with it, stop right now. So go by there before you want to buy a car. That's probably something I see folks, and this kind of goes back to what you were talking about before. You have so much information at your fingertips and the ability to find so much information. One, utilize it. And two, when you get to the dealer, if they dismiss it, you're in the wrong spot. And that happens very often, right? You come in armed with the information that you took the time to search or research and study and arm yourself with so you can make a good decision. And then you get to the dealership and the hotshot dismisses it. Oh, well, that's this or that's that, or he serves you up some wonton soup. You know why we call it wonton soup?
No, why?
What's in wonton soup?
Wontons?
I don't know. Nobody knows what's in wonton soup. I think it's a leftover lasagna noodle. I like it, but I'm just saying. But I mean, they're very dismissive and they tell you story time and you're thinking, who better to do your research than you? You are the one that's responsible for every dollar in that game, right? So right at that very moment, I think you're going to know if you have a partner in the deal. And that to me is a pivotal point. When you came in and you didn't have sales experience, I didn't have sales experience when I sold cars. I really didn't. I knew everybody.
Right.
So I didn't have an adversary in the deal. I had a partner in the deal. When we ran into an obstacle, I had somebody that was helping me find a way to finish it up, not looking for, okay, well, I'm gonna go home and think about it.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you have an adversarial deal, is when somebody needs to go home and think about it. That, the translation is, I don't want to think in front of you because I might not trust you and you haven't even asked me for my social security number yet.
Right.
Right. But when you get to the point where you have a partner in the deal because they didn't dismiss what you brought to the table, I think it becomes easier. You're going to have to feel that judgment when you're in front of somebody. If it feels like they're being dishonest, they probably are. Right. That would be a very good indicator right there. Do they allow you to go and get the vehicle inspected? If they don't allow you to go or encourage you, when you come to my store, I'll put a dealer tag on it. I'll put some gas in it and send you down the road so you can get an independent inspection. Because while I have a great service department and they did their due diligence, we're going to come to a point where you and I disagree on the level of reconditioning for the car. Because I could make a used car brand new, but it could be a brand new price and it doesn't benefit anybody. So there's that fine line, and that's the part where everybody has to get on the same page. So, do they walk the walk? Do they talk the talk? Are they available? Are they on site? Do they encourage you to go get your vehicle checked out? Do they encourage you to bring somebody else into the deal to overlook it, to have that kind of an engaging conversation? If they don't, I would say those are probably some flags to pay attention to, and the one thing that I can tell you that I'm certain of, and earlier on when I sold cars, and it could be the end of the month and you got the managers breathing down your neck to sell cars and it's a great deal. It's a great deal. You can get drunk on your own Kool-Aid if you're not careful. I've never seen a car deal yet that was worth making that impulsive decision. It's contractual obligation. It's a lot of money. And at the end of the day, I can assure you, I'm going to want to sell you a car just as bad on a random Tuesday as I do on the very last day of the month. That's probably our difference on our approach, is we go just as strong mid-month as we do at the beginning or the end. That's another part of it. Does the store sell a lot of cars? When you drive by it, some things don't change. Do you see the same car sitting there forever? If you do, it's a problem. Because let me tell you, well-priced cars don't stick around long. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Price wrong, it's sitting long. So.
Okay. Yeah. That's great. Especially from a girl's perspective who might not initially know what to look out for. So.
Yeah. And when for that too, don't be afraid to go to the manager first. In fact, I would encourage it, because if the manager's not available to you before you make a deal, he's probably not going to be available to you after you made a deal. And if I was the manager, back in my day when I was on the desk, and I used to like being on the desk, I had fun. I wasn't aware of it. I'd goof around. I tried to make people laugh, cut up, have a good time. I would always appreciate it, and I encouraged it. I would tell the associates early and up front, hey, if you get together with somebody out on the lot and it's a rub, you guys aren't clicking, don't go hit your head up against a brick wall. Particularly me, they used to tell me all the time. I started when I was young. Hey man, somebody's going to form their opinion of you in 3 seconds, which does happen. And you may look like, I don't know, somebody that their granddaughter ran around with that they don't particularly like. And you had nothing to do other than show up and smile. And people operate off of memory recall. So I would say go see the manager first, and you get to pick your sales associate. I don't think customers realize that. They think whoever responded to the internet inquiry or the phone call, that's their person. And at the end of the day, that might be their person at that time, but you as the consumer are absolutely in the driver's seat and you have control. We all have to stay there all day. That's what I say all the time. If we leave in the middle of the day, it's a problem. Right. Somebody got fired, right? If too many customers leave in the middle of the day, somebody could be getting fired. But at the end of the day, you are the one in the driver's seat. You have control. Folks, we're going to take a quick break, thank our sponsors, and we'll see you right back here in just a minute on Rev'd Up with Bill McKinney with some more questions from some of our guests. See you in a few.
All gas and no brakes. Rev'd Up with Bill McKinney. We'll be right back after this short break. You're listening to Rev'd Up with Bill McKinney. Insight, experience, and straight talk from inside the auto industry.
All right, folks, we're back. We're Rev'd Up with Bill McKinney and my friend Lydia Herman.
Oh.
We are taking some questions from some of our guests and customers that we have either sold cars to or met at some of our events. And really, again, this show is driven completely by you. So we are looking for your input. What's important to you is what's important to us. We want to demystify buying a vehicle so that you can change your level of comfort and it doesn't have to give you like an ulcer and you have to go see my GI doctor just because you bought a car and your stomach's in knots. So we want to try to help that. So Lydia, what you got?
Okay. So our second question is, how would you react to the people that think that dealerships should just go away and consumers should just be able to buy directly from the manufacturers?
Is that question from my brother? He's that guy. I mean, he's that guy. My brother blacks me out. This is my younger brother, Billy. You see him on there. Like, who is Bill McKinney? Is it this guy or this guy?
For the longest time, I thought it was you. I don't think I officially met him until this summer at the beer festival.
And that is exactly where you would meet my brother. That sounds 100% like my brother. They were Toyota forever, and then they made the jump to Tesla, which completely blew my thought. I thought it was like Subaru, Volvo, Tesla. Am I allowed to say that on air? I can. I just can't say the Subaru drivers are bad drivers or Prius drivers. I'm kidding. It's me. I'm a horrible driver. If you see me move, I will sideswipe you in a heartbeat. I swerve on people's purpose to try to keep the bad guys away.
I see you driving a lot. I don't think you ever noticed me, but I see you zooming past me.
So I'm used to driving in Miami. You got to get where you're going. The entrance is there is like a NASCAR ramp. If you're not going fast enough, you're not getting on, you know? So I'm sure that my brother submitted that question because he told me back when we all got together and I was really kind of having a heart to heart with myself, like, do I want to keep on in the car business or do I want to be done? I had been at odds for so long about the industry and what it was. And then I got here and I bought part of the store and became part owner. And I'm talking to my brother and, you know, I'm still have some excitement, but I'm worried about some of the things going on that I saw on social media about the store. And I'm talking to him like, bro, how am I going to fix this? And, you know, I was drinking in my garage, drinking some beer, and he was drinking in his garage, you know, or by his pool there in Jacksonville. And he goes, bro, you can't fix it. I said, what do you mean, man? And he goes, you're a workaholic. And my goal is to work as least as possible. And he goes, and I'm convinced that you can't fix it. And I know nobody else has your work ethic, so it's done. And I'm like, this is my brother. And he goes, customers want to see dealerships burn. They just want to buy from the manufacturer like Tesla. So I'm going to answer your question, and it is going to hurt some folks' feelings. Are you ready?
Okay.
First of all, when it comes to the manufacturers and you talk about buying, like people buy direct from Tesla, I'm pretty safe to say Elon Musk is a unique individual. Not everybody's Elon Musk. Not every manufacturer, not every head of every manufacturer, whatever they want to call them, owners or CEOs, whatever the trend is for that position today, CEO, I guess. They're not willing to go sleep on their friend's couch while they get their affairs in order. They're probably not willing to do the things that we've all heard that Elon Musk has done. So what he has done with his consumer base has been fantastic for him. Now he's been, for the most part, unchallenged in that arena up until recently, right? But his process was still smooth. How smooth? I bought a Tesla online on accident. And I ordered like 3 options and they showed up at the door. That's how I knew I bought the car. Because my wife, she's like, what is this car cover thing? And I was like, well, it goes 0 to 60 in 1.9 seconds, you know? But that's his process. Everything he has set up is internalized to fit his business model. Now, that's great. Draw your line. That is just not the same everywhere else.
Yeah.
I wish I could say it was, but we spent 4 years now trying to perfect a single point process, meaning we have no business office. You don't get bounced around. You can start and finish with one person. You can do it at home at your couch. Literally, today, my friend came to the store to get a price on the vehicle, and we're sitting in my office, and he sits around and we're looking at the screen together. And after I'm going through, he goes, "You're just going on your website." I said, "Yeah." Our whole process is designed so that what you see at home is what you see when we get here, is what the manager sees and the salesperson sees. That way there's no confusion. Mm-hmm. And it took us 4 years and multiple digital companies to try to pull this off. In fact, we had Cox Automotive pilot with us for 2 years for the system that they're outselling to stores now, which is Retail Central, to be able to put this together. So that's a couple of things, right? Now, the hardest part is for the consumer. Those of you, and this is what I said to my brother, and his first response is, "No, I didn't try to buy one. I bought a Fisker." I'm like, "Not a good choice. They went bankrupt second time." So take your advice from somebody who is already doing good advice. I love you, bro, but Fisker was a bad beat. So is that Honda lease you did like 15 years ago for 60 months. This don't watch TV. When you order a car from the manufacturer, I went through this. We went through it during COVID. There were some dealer direct options. There were some vehicles that came out, which you could tell clearly that the manufacturer was taking its run at dealing consumer direct. And what I found to happen quite often was the consumer would wind up in the showroom trying to resolve an issue because they weren't able to get one-to-one communication with that person. Right. So what that means is there's absolutely a need for a dealer if it's a responsive dealer. And that's the human side of it, right? That's the part that we keep trying to work with, is make sure that we've got the right folks in the right positions that are consumer facing to make sure that we address and take care of our consumers' needs. So that was a very long-winded way of saying, no, buying from the manufacturer today, it's going to take more than just a want to do it, because there are still good dealers doing good things and filling needs within the marketplace. Now, in the absence of doing what we're doing, trying to humanize the dealership, be a good dealership, be responsible to the community, not just be greedy to the dollar. If those things were to fall to the wayside, I'm certain that would accelerate the opportunity for manufacturers to deal direct. Currently, it would take some legislative action for the manufacturers to deal direct with consumers. Particularly in the state of Florida, we have some very good franchise laws that protect us when we make these enormous investments in dealerships. Saying all of that to say this, I've not really ever been concerned with the manufacturer making that change. My concern is with the consumer making that change, because there is no legislation needed. They literally can just decide to do something elsewhere or different, and you're automatically eliminated. And the things that happen during that and from that are all over the place. A couple examples. Now, they're not going to be new cars, it's going to be used cars, but look at CarMax. CarMax and Carvana both have simply they have filled a void strictly out of an avenue that dealerships have been reluctant to do. One price or simplified pricing, no negotiation, keeping it a single point of contact like we have. Those were pain points that consumers had, that if you were truly hadn't just detested having any kind of a negotiation, you maybe unknowingly but willingly went to one of the two that charged you, without a doubt, the highest price on the planet. There's no question. Why? They have to get their cars from somewhere. Mm-hmm. So when they advertise that they pay you the most, I know no business model where paying you the most and selling you the least has kept them in business or successful. And so when you look at that, it's very easy to see that both CarMax and Carvana, if you truly compare their prices car to car, they're going to be higher. Right. But they've done a magnificent job establishing a certain amount of trust and that feeling of it's okay, you're not going to get got within the consumer marketplace, which has made them tremendously appealing to consumers. That's what us as franchise dealers have to find our way of bringing that same kind of value to the consumers. Because it literally, I mean, when CarMax or Carvana goes to the auction to buy cars, they're competing with us. So when they talk about these cars that are being run up on the price, that contributes ultimately to hitting the lot, no matter where it is, and the consumer paying more money for that vehicle. In the franchise world, we tend to self-support, meaning if my average new price vehicle was $77,000, which it's 70 grand on a Ford world because we don't really have cars. We have trucks and they're all pricey. The average car that's going to come in on trade on that, 60% of the time is going to be at half to 1/3 the price of that vehicle. So if it's 70 grand, you're at 35 to 20 grand, you're in a competitive price point, which hits an affordability spot that folks are looking for. So dealerships have the way of self-supporting themselves where the other two do not. Folks, we're getting deep into the conversation. Should you buy direct? Should you buy from your dealer? Does your dealer add value or do they add heartache? That's the reality of it. We're going to take a quick break. Thanks some sponsors, and we're going to come right back. See you guys in a minute.
You're listening to Rev'd Up with Bill McKinney, presented by Tallahassee Ford. Rev'd Up with Bill McKinney is presented by Tallahassee Ford, proud to support smarter conversations for local drivers.
We're back. We've been all over the place trying to really answer some of the questions that our consumers have given to us. And again, what's important to you is what's important to us. So Lydia's got another question teed up, and we're going to jump right in. What you got?
All right. So something that I've seen is that people are now advising one another to wait until the last possible minute to reveal that they have a trade-in. Is that something that you would recommend or not recommend? How would you react to that?
Okay. First thing first, if you have to hide any part of your deal, you're in the wrong place already. I mean, that's just it. I think, we all knew that growing up, right? If you were in the wrong company, you could tell pretty quick. Right. If you feel that you have to hide something within your deal for fear that it will be taken advantage of, I can tell you that has personally bothered me. That's one of those reasons why I get out in the showroom and I mix it up with customers is it's bothered me deeply that people have to hide their excitement for fear that it'll be taken advantage of, that they have to hide their trade because they feel that it puts them in a different, in a subpar position for negotiating. The reality is your trade-in very often is a bargaining chip in a big way. And I'll be completely transparent. When we sell new cars, and different dealers operate differently, so I'm not going to speak for every Ford dealership out there, but I will tell you my average profit on the front end of a new car Ford deal is negative $166. And I'm absolutely okay with it. And if I need to get down and dirtier, I absolutely will. I want to make sure that I support the market. I want to make sure that I take trade-ins at the proper ratio and that I keep things moving. It kind of goes back to your point. I know this is a long-winded answer, but should you hide your trade? If you're at a place where you feel like you have to hide your trade, then probably. Mm-hmm. I guess that probably is backwards from what I said earlier, but if you're in a place where you feel you have to hide your trade, then you probably got to hide it. Mm-hmm. But that's the first problem right there. Right. Stop doing business with places where you got to hide stuff. Somebody asked me the other day, in fact, it's a text message here, and it's a customer of mine down south, and his son is going to be buying his first vehicle. And I told him, listen, I'm going to make a couple of calls out of professional courtesy. And I mean this, and he's going to be in your age. The experience you have today is going to shape the attitude and the tone and temperament that you have next time you buy a car. Right. And your next time out in the marketplace might not be working for us. You may be on to bigger and bolder things. You may be moved a state away. I hope that we never lose you. But the reality is that may be the case. And I may not be there to have eyes over the shoulder to make sure that right. You're being taken care of as you should, or that you're in a store where I can look at one of my managers and say, hey, make sure that we have professional courtesy. Lydia has her own company, but she puts in more hours than some of the people that work here, meaning she's an employee. If you feel you got to hide your trade, then you're at the wrong place already. Because today's environment, when I go back to that profit margin of $166, affordability is top of mind for everybody. Well, there's not a whole lot affordable about $60,000 and $70,000 vehicles. It doesn't mean that we don't have vehicles that are less. We do. We have some starting points in the 30s, right, for brand new. But by and large, the bread and butter, the unit, if you will, is going to be an F-150. They're expensive. You know, I can sell a whole lot more people cars. There's a whole lot bigger slice of the market for $15,000 cars than there are for $70,000 cars. So the answer to the trade is a store like mine. That's your strongest negotiating point. In fact, what I told this young man is that whole thing. I'm not buying a car today. Don't go in there with that. You want to see what happens. They call it a lot drop. You see it when they're reviewing. They didn't help me. No, they left you. You told them, I'm not buying a car today. Whatever the million stories were, you told them, and the salesman lot dropped you. That happens. You just face it. You can't have eyes everywhere in the dealership. That's not a realistic conversation. And at the end of the day, if they're paid for productivity and you just told them, no matter what, I'm not buying a car, I don't know that helps the cause, right?
Right.
But if I looked you in the eye, if you were sitting there and I walked in, I said, Lydia, I came to buy a car today. I don't have time to keep doing this over and over again. I do have a trade. I know exactly where I am on my credit, and I'm willing to let you guys see if you've got something better. And if I don't get a car today, it's literally your fault. You messed it up. Put it back on them. I took time out of my day to come buy a car, and if I don't, it's literally your fault. That's pretty much how the negotiation. I don't know if I was still on the floor. I don't know if I'd fight if there's anybody I could fight harder for than the customer that said that. That's putting it down on the table. That's wanting to get it done. That's not spending 15 minutes telling me what you're not doing and then getting upset because we're now 20 minutes into what the heck are we doing? I'm not sure. You know what I mean? There were times I could tell you when I got out of the car business and I wasn't sure long ago, and then I had to go get a truck and I was walking around a lot and they approached me. I said, hey man, I'm in the middle of a divorce. I'm about to file bankruptcy and I'm unemployed. You know what happened? What? I was left completely alone to do whatever I want. You couldn't find a salesman within 100 yards. The porter wouldn't come over to me. So if you really want to be left alone, that would be my advice. I'm in the middle of a bankruptcy, a terrible divorce. I'm probably gonna be 50 cents away from a quarter. And hey, you got a packed lunch? What you got there? You'll get dropped in a heartbeat. You'll have bliss walking around. You might not be able to get cars open or keys or anything. But you'll be able to cruise around unchecked. That's for sure. Those aren't the days that we're in anymore. I say that jokingly, but those just aren't the days that we're in. And if you're at a dealer that makes you do that to try to get your best deal, you're already at the wrong dealership.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's hard in general because dealerships, and not all of them, it's unfortunate, but some of them have created such a bad rep that you look online and that's the advice they're telling you. They're telling you go in there and say that you're not looking for a car, you don't want to put a trade in, and that's what people are actually advising the public to do before they've ever even had an experience in a dealership. That
dealer's chosen their business model before you ever decided to do that. That's the thing. Like on the way over here, I was listening to the radio. It wasn't this radio station. And there was a dealer and they were advertising the prices so low, I can't tell you. You got to come in and see them. I can't even say what I want to say right now. Your prices are so low, I can't advertise it. Just because it won't pass compliance check. Seriously, you got to come in to see it. I can tell you right now. I'm sorry. I'm not going to tell it. I'm not going to say it. I can tell you who you're getting ready to meet. I mean, if that's the ad, what are you doing? They just told you, I don't believe my price is good enough to advertise it, or I don't want to have to run away from it, so I'm not going to advertise it. So I'm going to make it where you got to come in and just you and I talk about it. So if you go blast me, I can deny it. That's what I heard.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you're already in the business. If the commercial itself that got you teed up to cruise in there had some weird hook like that, but you got to come in to see it, dude, no, stop right now. So, but now I guess I can see those might be the things that make people say you got to go out of town to buy a car. The answer is no, you don't. Use the internet. Some dealers are better online than others. Our store is forced to be strong online and attentive online. And the reason being is we're not on Car Row. We're not up on Tennessee Street where people are just hopping from lot to lot to lot to lot to lot. The bar of how you're treated didn't get set by the guy next door. We're down on Magnolia. I mean, we're down by the Capitol. I mean, we have just we got great customers rolling through all day long that have come in and done tons of research. They know what they're in there to get done. That's probably why our deals go so quick. I mean, if you have a trade-in and you're financing with a payoff and you have your account numbers, it takes us 23 minutes to do your deal. If you take the trade-in out, it goes down to 19 minutes. If you take the financing out, it goes down to 17 minutes. Do you know why there's not much a difference of paperwork between financing and not financing?
Right.
Because the vast majority of all your paperwork will have the same heading on the top of it, and it doesn't say Tallahassee Ford. It says State of Florida. So there's actually, when it comes to financing, you're going to have a buyer's order and a contract. Those are going to, the rest of it is about titling and registering your car. So
Right.
that whole myth about does it take longer or not, the things that would cause the financing portion to take long might be where you happen to be sitting personally with where your credit might sit. And I don't want to say just score, because it's not just score anymore. They're used, you got all these different scoring systems that will, tell you where your rate is, but it's not just score. There's lenders out there that look at things differently. Like my wife always has much better credit score than I do, but I sign as personal guarantor for everything. So it looks like I owe $1 bazillion on everything, because you got dealership stuff, you got McKinney Electric. I'm over here signing like it's Christmas constantly. So, I'm lucky to get out of the mid sixes. It looks like I'm a chronic toe stubber with high debt. Meanwhile, my wife, she could finance a spaceship if she wanted to, because she got great credit, So there's a variation of circumstances, but that all goes back to the very beginning of the conversation, having a relationship, having good, engaging conversation that you feel comfortable having with those folks. That ultimately leads you to a deal that I think that you can feel comfortable with, that you can feel the time vested was good, and that ultimately you should look for a good outcome. I think those are the big part of it. And that's why the very first thing I try to do is make sure myself and every one of the managers is totally available, because if you're just not feeling it, just come get us. Just walk over to one of us. I might not be able to be with you all day, but I'm very sure I can get it corrected.
Right.
So folks, we've been chatting it up about a few things, again, trying to find out what's important to you and put them on the table, demystify the car buying experience, and change the level of comfort that you have. Because at the end of the day, our world revolves around you guys. Y'all write the retail process. The level of success that we have depends on how well we perform to your expectations in that arena. But one thing I wanted to remind you guys of out there in the radio world and streaming world, we got a heck of a basketball game coming up on the 24th.
Yep.
You in?
I guess so. It'll be my first basketball game.
Okay. All right. So University of Miami, and Florida State men's basketball. We are going to be there. We're going to be broadcasting live from the Tallahassee Ford Suite, making a ruckus up there. We're going to have a good friend of ours, Mario Ramil. He came up with us before. No doubt he is a Miami fan, so he'll be giving all the stats over there. We'll have our friend TJ Pittenger with us. He'll be actually doing his podcast live from our suite, and he will be giving all the Florida State details. I'll just be the guy from Miami that's in Florida State, drinking beer and talking about both. Sounds like a good time. So I'm thinking we're going to be there and have a good old time, and we hope to see you guys there. Look for us before the game starts. We'll be out front, what they call the party on the pad. We'll have some games going, some intros, and it will be great to meet you guys. Stop by and visit us, and we are looking forward to it. So more to come, and we will catch you guys next time on Rev'd Up with Bill McKinney.
That's today's edition of Rev'd Up with Bill McKinney. Thanks for listening. And remember, when it comes to cars, information matters just as much as the vehicle itself. Rev'd Up with Bill McKinney is presented by Tallahassee Ford. Join us next week for another smarter conversation about the road ahead.